Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom again.
Shabbat shalom lecha.
Hope y'all are full.
Amen.
Hope y'all are full in so many different ways. Todah Yah for a beautiful holy Shabbat day. Todah Yah for the Shabbat.
Amen. Todah Yahuwah.
In his infinite wisdom, he thought about creation before he even put us on the planet. And so we bless Yah's name. So we normally seek out that one just works with tell, but I like to sing Baruch Hashem. To thank Yah for his great goodness, his mercy, his compassion. I can't stop talking about how good Yah is. And so we bless his name together by singing Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem, El Yahuwah. Baruch Hashem, El Yahuwah. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, El Yahuwah. Blessed be the name of Yahuwah. Blessed be the name of Yahuwah.
Your
Hallelujah.
We're going to have our song service. And as we open it up, I want to thank y'all for blessing us all of you here in safety and in peace. But also to thank y'all for allowing the Red Seamer and our granddaughters and our great-granddaughters to be in our midst. She was one of the ones that traveled to the land of Israel, and so there's another elder in the nation of Israel that made it back home. So I'm going to ask her if she would read Psalm 79. I'm going to have Bakor Maaseh read Psalm 121, Kohanisha 124, and then we'll conclude with, and this is odd, Moreh Shemuel for 148. So let us acknowledge and stand before the Creator as we acknowledge our elder Red Seamer. Hallelujah. 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 You gotta keep saying it. When you sit down, you got the mic for you, so everybody can hear you.
I'm surprised, and I'm gonna get you later. I know you bring your live. But God is good. God is, I just can't say, like you said, how much, how it just chokes me up. And I'm so happy to be here to be able to bring my grandson, my granddaughter, and my two great-granddaughters. And, I wanted them to be here, and I wanted them to experience you all. And they didn't already told me they want to come back. So I guess I'll be making that drive. But as long as the Most High keeps me alive and keeps the spirit in me, I'm gonna keep doing. Amen. But it'll be my honor to read. Hope I can read. Oh God, the heathen are come into thy inheritance. They have defiled thy holy temple. They have made Jerusalem into heaps.
They have given the dead bodies of thy servants to be food unto the fowls of the heavens, the flesh of thy holy ones unto the beasts of the earth.
They have shed their blood like water round about Jerusalem, with none to bury them.
We are become a taunt to our neighbors, a scorn and derision to them that are round about us.
How long, O Lord, wilt thou be angry forever? How long will thy jealousy burn like fire?
Pour out thy wrath upon the nations that know thee not, and upon the kingdoms that call not upon thy name.
For they have devoured Jacob and laid waste his habitation.
Remember not against us the iniquities of our forefathers. Let thy compassion speedily come to meet us, for we are brought very low.
Help us, O Jehovah, help us of our salvation for the sake of the glory of thy name, and deliver us and forgive our sins for thy name's sake.
Wherefore should the nations say, where is their power? Let the avenging of thy servants' blood that is shed be made known among the nations in our sight.
Let the groaning of the prisoner come before thee, according to the greatness of thy power. Set free those that are appointed to death.
And remember unto our neighbors sevenfold into their bosom their reproach wherewith they have reproached thee, O Yah.
So we that are thy people and the flock of thy pasture will give thee thanks forever. Will give thee thanks forever. I can't say it enough. We will tell of thy praise to all generations.
Hallelujah.
Bakor Maaseh.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Psalm 123. I will lift up my eyes unto the mountains, from whence my help shall come.
My help cometh from Jehovah, who made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be removed. He that keepeth thee will not slumber.
Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep.
Jehovah is thy keeper, Jehovah is thy shade upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night.
Jehovah shall keep thee from all evil, he shall keep thy soul.
Jehovah shall guard thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and forever.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Pray for here and my family. Pray for all these people.
Hallelujah.
What 24? Yep. Cohane, hallelujah.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Lord.
Giving all glory to the Most High. Psalms 124. If it had not been Yehovah who was for us, let Israel now say.
If it had not been Yehovah who was for us, when men rose up against us,
Then they had swallowed us up alive when their wrath was kindled against us.
And the waters had overwhelmed us, the stream had gone over our soul.
Then the proud waters had gone over our soul.
Blessed be Jehovah, who has not given us as a prey to their teeth.
Our soul is escaped as a bird out of the snare of the fowlers. The snare is broken and we are escaped.
Our help is in the name of Jehovah, who made heaven and earth.
I just have so much to be thankful for. I thank the Most High for my life, the lives of my family, my loved ones. I feel like the Most High just has been in my life more than ever. He protects me each and every day as I go to school and allows me to come home safely. And whenever there's a small inconvenience, you know, he's there and he helps me. And I worry for just a second, and I thank the Most High for that.
Hallelujah. Life becomes real. And Jehovah is real. That's right. That's who you gotta depend on. Maurice Shimura.
Hallelujah. Today is supposed to be my day off. Psalms 148. Praise the Jehovah from the heavens. Praise him in the heights.
Praise ye all his angels, praise ye him all his hosts.
Praise ye him, sun and moon. Praise him, all ye stars of light.
Praise him, ye heavens of heavens, and ye waters that are above the heavens.
Let them praise the name of Jehovah, for he commanded, and they were created.
He hath also established them forever and ever. He hath made a decree which shall not be transgressed.
Praise Jehovah from the earth, ye sea monsters and all deeps.
Fire and hail, snow and vapor, stormy wind fulfilling his word.
Mountains and all hills, fruitful trees and all cedars.
Beasts and all cattle, creeping things and winged fowl.
Kings of the earth, and all peoples, princes and all judges of the earth.
Both young men and maidens, old men and children.
Let them praise the name of Jehovah, for his name alone is exalted. His glory is above the earth and heaven.
And he hath lifted up a horn for his people, a praise for all his holy ones, even for the children of Israel, a people near unto him. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. You know, we ask for the Most High's protection every time that, you know, we do things, but we have to as well bear in mind that we should use our wisdom and common sense and not neglect our, you know, our surroundings, the things that we depend on, like for transportation, like in my case. We should not neglect these things, but we should ensure that we are in a secure manner when we're moving to and fro. And I thank the Most High for his protection this week. I thank Yah for the quick response to the Brotherhood, as those that came out, Ben Boaz, Yekariel, and Prince Yiftach. He came to rescue me. You know, it was, you know, like the worst fears that you have always come out. I always feared, you know, having a blowout. Always feared that thing, and it happened. You know, I thank the Most High, though, that he continues to answer prayers. There's no danger around me that somebody would run into me, etc. But everything worked out for the best. But I reiterate us, you know, taking the responsibility of ensuring that we prepare ourselves in such a manner, our surroundings, that we are safe at all times. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So God, Yah, for His continued mercies. We're truly a blessed people. In spite of all that we see going on, Yah still been merciful to us. Has blessed us through all kinds of trials and tribulations. It's life, baby. It's life. Hey, when you move out of your parents' house, you know, it's almost like your security blanket leaves you. But it really did. That's right. Jehovah went with you from your parents' house to your house. That's right. And if Jehovah's done that and you're still surviving, you might be eating peanut butter and jelly, but guess what? Peanut butter and jelly is good. It makes you full. Hey, it's nothing like going to bed with a full belly. There's some people that don't have that. So if you're going through trials and tribulations, Todah Jehovah, and let me see the other side of that trial or that tribulation, because some people just don't make it through that. And so at the end of the day, give praises to Jehovah, because He's the one that's going to bring you out. And so the trials don't get easier. They don't get easier. Maybe when you get to the elder status, I don't know. But at the end of the day, the trials, what she's saying, and she's 70, she's over 70. So, Todah Yehovah for family. There's nothing like family. There's nothing like the love that you get from family. So, we should always be mindful and appreciative to Yah for all that we go through. And I'm going to tell you something, those hard days make you a better, stronger individual. When you get older, you look back and be like, I don't even remember who that individual was, because you've been through so much. Before I get to running my mouth, today's not about me, it's about Yah. And it's about healing and bringing our spirit back to the place that we can really serve God in a manner that He's pleased. So before we get into the question and answer period, I'm asking Saul to come do the question and answer period. We can keep it as short and concise as possible, because I want to get into something else. But I'm going to ask Amati, is he around? Can we get in? Amati? You can't find him? Okay, Cohane, if you can come up and give us some praise, please.
He's hiding amongst the bags.
He's hiding amongst the bags. Let's give praise to the Almighty by standing. Hallelujah.
Blessed be the name of the power of this universe. Let us give praise to Yah and start with the chant. Blessed be the day of Blessed be the day of the Shabbat. Blessed be the joy that it brings. Blessed be the Yah of our Father, who gives us everything. And blessed be the joy in the worship, things that enlighten our lives. Blessed be the Yah of our fathers, for He is the Most High, and Yahovah is His name. Yes, Yahovah is His name. Blessed be the day of the Shabbat. Blessed be the joy that He brings. Blessed be the Yah of our fathers, who gives us everything. And blessed be the joy and the worship, things that enlighten our lives. Blessed be the Yah of our fathers, for He is the Most High, and Yahovah is His name. Yes, Yahovah is His name. Blessed be the day of the Shabbat. Come on, Israel. Blessed be the joy that He brings. Blessed be the Yah of our fathers, for He is everything. Yes, blessed be the joy and the worship, the things that enlighten our lives. Blessed be the Yah of our fathers, for He is the Most High. Yes, Yahovah is His name. Yes, Let's go.
Hallelujah.
This time, let us put our hands together to welcome the star of the body, Star Aharon, the never in the star. Hallelujah! Hallelujah!
And thanks once again for my life, the lives of all of you and your loved ones. Thanking Him for His mercy and His protection and all the things that He gives us that we forget about. I'm here to conduct a question and answer period. Before I do that, I just wanted to mention that I had the opportunity to travel to New York this week to celebrate the life of Chief Nasser Talib in Israel. It was a very nice service, if you could call it nice, and a lot of people there. Standing room only in a really large room, so it was really nice to see how everyone came out. course, you get to see all the people you haven't seen in many years. It's got the family reunion. It was really, really nice to see all the family there and to be able to witness that occasion for what it was. Okay, so we're going to start the question and answer period. Anyone can ask a question, anyone can answer a question. We only ask that in the event of a controversy that the final decision rests up here with me and these men who study diligently in the book. Not because we necessarily know more, but we want to maintain order in the house of Yahweh Shabbat. Okay, so we're going to try to focus on the laws that we're given today. And of course, the floor is open for other questions too, but we'll try to take those first. Question and answer period is now open. Cohane, Albuquerque.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
When they were speaking this morning, and they said that they had to go before the elders to decide the problem, to correct the problem, and they said, I think I heard them say the elders was men and women, but I didn't know. Is that true? That women be in the group of elders to make the decisions?
Sure. It could be judges as well. We don't have a lot of history on that, but I'm certain that if it was a matter dealing with a sister or something like that, they would want to bring an elder in that understood their particular situation or their perspective, and they would be used in the group of elders. It's very possible. We also had, and I don't know what time frame you're talking about, but let's say during the time of judges, they had prophetesses and whatnot, and so I'm sure that if they were needed, they would definitely be used. Right. Men don't know everything. Any other questions? Okay. Y'all not getting into the meaty stuff, though. That's what I want to hear. Make my brain work.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Can I get some mind, please?
My question as well is coming from the portion dealing with the rebellious son, and just knowing how precious life is, and knowing that stoning him will definitely be the last resort in regards to the son being rebellious. Just thinking about how they have it set up in modern times, as far as like a juvenile correctional facility. Do you feel it will be wise? Because they mentioned that the parents will try to chastise him. So I know they use the example of him being a drunkard or a glutton, but I'm also thinking somebody that's a terror to society out there, maybe stealing and just doing things that's really out of line. And they tried to chastise him and speak to him, and he's not listening. So could it be that we can have a facility set up similar how they have it today, where it's like a correctional or facility to kind of help get him out of that stage before we get to the point that he's going to be stoned and actually taken out of society?
Okay, good question. The first thing I would say is that if he was stealing and doing things out in the street, there's another law for that. That's not necessarily what he was doing in his parents' home. In his parents' home, he's more or less being disrespectful. And so that's why they would bring him before the elders. It's quite possible, if the wisdom was there, and I believe it was, that they would have other means to try to help him. Keep in mind that everything is not written. And so, before the parents are going to do that, that's not because he did it one time. Or he just, got out of line or what have you, or he had one bad night, so to speak. That's the ultimate punishment. They don't put down the punishments that can come below that. So they give you the ultimate punishment for anyone who does anything. So I would say to you that they could have dealt with it several different ways, and ultimately, if he persists with his behavior, then it's not about him anymore. It's not about his parents anymore. It becomes about maintaining the integrity and the discipline in the community, because now he's becoming a person that could possibly have an influence on other people. And you cannot afford to have him getting away with stuff, and you got all these other young ones coming up. Next thing you know, you got gangs, you got all this. That's what's wrong with the community now. Even in today's society, we have situations where it's gotten so bad that the people who want justice are afraid to tell on the ones they don't even want to be witnesses. And that's perpetuating the problem. So if you're not going to take them because nobody wants to snitch or nobody wants to see their grandchild go to listen, if my grandchild is out there terrorizing other elders, put his behind in jail. And I'm being kind, okay? Because he's a threat to all of us. And so, because if somebody else's child was doing that to me, I'd want him put in jail. So I shouldn't want anything different for my children and my grandchildren. So yeah, there's a whole lot of ways that we can deal with the problem. And of course, we are a little more educated now, so we might come up with other means and resources that we would try to help them. But we could put them in ward and things like that. But if they are out of control, there's a law for that. And if they want to go that far with it, then they'll end up in a grave. Okay? Let's just hope it doesn't come to that. But you know, bad seed sometimes has to be removed. The Creator said He wants to take the evil out of the midst of the people, and that's really the goal. Okay? Okay? Any other questions? I'll take your hand. Let me see who else's hands are up, so I know where to come. Okay, oh gosh. I don't see that hand. I see your hand. Your hand up.
Shabbat Shalom, Nicole. My question is dealing with the not letting in of the Moabite and the Ammonite into the congregation, really for eternity. So I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, that law is only dealing with the male Moabites and Ammonites, because you do have Ruth, for example, who was a Moabitess. But of course, since she's marrying an Israelite male, the children are still going to be Israelites, while as opposed to if it was the other way, you know, they would be Moabites. If it was a Moabite man and an Israelite sister. So does that law only apply to the males that are Moabites and Ammonites?
That's a good question. I'm probably going to divert a little bit, not because I don't want to answer the question, but because I want us to see this in a different light in certain ways. I think that when I was reading that just today, I realized that those laws were written, 3,000 or more years ago? And the 10th generation is come and gone. They said, so you can't keep starting a new 10th generation for the penalties against some of these nations. In my opinion, at some point, we got past that, because the law was, even though it was written for the future, it was also written for the present, and at that time. And so in certain cases, some of those laws are, I don't know if you call them obsolete, but they're no longer necessary because we've gotten past the point of some of these people out there. Who's an Moabite now? Who's an Amorite now? You know, Ammonite now. So they may have become extinct or how should we say, absorbed into other nations. And so how do you, if they're not full-blooded, how do you figure them out? We're not necessarily full-blooded, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if, not that I don't want to answer your question, but I don't know if it's even relevant. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm sure that because they took them for spoil, the children and the women, it's possible that they only meant the men, but I don't know if there's any other way to check it in the Hebrew to see if you can make a distinction. Otherwise, you know, you just have to use your good common sense on that. Okay. Is this a continuation of his question? Okay, maybe you can help answer.
I believe it was all of them, men and women at that time, based on the way it was written and the way the way the law was written and expressed there in that place. But as I said, as though rightfully said, throughout history, so many events came or took place. There was a turn of events many times in our history during the days of the judges and so many other times that our forefathers married into Moabites or Ammonites or whomever. It's gotten to a point where now, like he said, we probably can't even trace those genes anymore anyhow. So at this point in our history, to some degree, that law is one where we can't even look at it on a level that they would in ancient days, because those nations existed. Today, those nations, the Creator even said in some places in Tanakh, some of these nations would become extinct because of what they did to us. He would destroy them or completely annihilate those nations. So today, that law there, we really can't see how it could be applied to us in this era.
Okay, hopefully that answered your question. We're going to take Imam Uzara's hand. I don't see like you have a blur. There's a blur back there. I don't know. Wow, is it raining? I don't know. If I see
They view themselves as Moabite. I know it's because once I said that it's not resonating clear to me. Okay? It's about the adulterous offspring, and it's being considered or not worthy of being a part of the assembly. And I'm trying to understand, why is the offspring being punished for something that adults did? You know what I'm saying? It just seems, and especially if that child, that female, that male really want to serve the Most High. So why is it just not?
Well, the Creator doesn't give us a reason, but I'm sure He had one in mind, and if I were to use logic, I would think that the reason is because He doesn't want to promote the act of people having ancestral, not ancestral, but having relationships that they feel that the Creator doesn't want to promote. So He's gonna try to extinguish it by, in other words, making the behavior so repulsive that people will think twice before they let this happen. Okay. And we're now talking about an incestuous relationship, or we were talking about an adulterous relationship. Right. So, yeah, in a case like that, it's to not promote the activity of the adults. And the thing is, if both parents die, I don't know what would happen to the child. I can't give you all these answers, unfortunately, but what I would say to you is it's a deterrent to people engaging in certain behavior, and so the Creator just didn't care for it, and so I believe that that's one of the reasons why. Did I see your hand in the corner? I'll take your hand. Yeah, and then we're gonna try to move forward because Cohane does have an exercise. So we're gonna take your hand, and I'm gonna take. I'll see if I want to take a red Naima's hand, and then I'll say Uziah for last. Yeah, but let me just tell you, we're not going in deep. Okay, just put it out there because I have an obligation to finish up at a certain time. Okay.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. So a theme that's really important to remember is something that the prophets explain the Torah in a lot of ways. Ezekiel, chapter 18, as well as in chapter 33, he goes through a long list where the Creator says, I don't desire the death of the wicked. I want him to turn from his wicked ways and live. And it talks about a person who I said, dying you shall die, but he completely turns his life around. And now, I will say, living you shall live. And then it says, there were Israelites that said, well, the way of Yah is not fair. He should be put to death. So you think about the children, you think about the women who are put to death, or the daughters that are put to death, or the sons that are put to death or threatened with death. It's the same thing would happen with David. In a certain situation, if you really made a real teshuvah, meaning you turned your life around, like it's traditionally called repentance, but you turned your whole life around, the Creator can make a reprieve there, and the Kohanim and others that are in control understand, okay, this scared the life out of you, so you won't go there. But also you have examples like Yiftah. What was the whole deal with Yiftah? His brothers didn't want him, he was kind of kicked out. The same sort of thing, you're a son of a harlot, and yet he saved the nation for his generation. So it's a deterrent, but the Creator also makes it really clear to his prophets that you could be also have a purpose. There were lepers that saved the nation of Israel too, because they were out of the camp, and they could see, oh, there's no more war. So we have to always remember that it's not that you're not perfect, you should die. It's that we have a goal to achieve, and we have a lot of deterrence, and we see all of these curses that come about when we're lax about it. But if you are in that situation, you turn your life around, the Creator can change it. Yehudah, Tamar, all of that stuff would have been a death penalty. So just keep that in mind. His mercy is forever.
Okay, I will also say that there's exceptions to just about every rule. Go ahead, Naeem. Take it in.
I'm kind of glad y'all talked about that, because I did have a question about the sins of the father visited upon the children, but this conversation kind of quelled all that, what we talked about this afternoon. But talking about taking a wife out of the enemies that you defeated,
Right.
why were they allowed to take a wife from in Deuteronomy 21, but in Deuteronomy 7, when they fought the Ammonites, Perizzites, blah, 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 they were not allowed to take them. So I had an answer, but why would they take a wife?
Okay, well, there's certain nations that even if you look at the law that the Creator gave Israel regarding certain nations that we were supposed to destroy.
Right.
So the ones that we were supposed to destroy, men, women, children, he didn't want us having, because they were defiled for whatever reason. So he didn't want them to be used for procreation. Okay, he didn't want to use certain other nations for procreation, and in others, the victims of spoil or what have you, war, they were allowed to take some of those, certain of those women. And of course, it was only the virgins. Everybody else was just killed. They didn't just take a wife, so you took a young daughter and someone that you can mold and what have you, and maybe have her serve the Creator and become a part of the Israelite community through the children. You know what I'm saying? He allowed it for whatever reason, and some of us may be in here right now. I'm going to move on. I'm going to take Uziah's hand. Listen, we're only going so far. Come on, what time do you want to start your exercise? No, you can't be saying that, because I keep this, they'll let me go on forever.
Always working around it. You are an honorable man, sir.
No, I'm not. He's honorable. I'm going to institute some type of, restraint here. Yes.
Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom. I'm bringing it up today. I understand the ancient law. We've been doing this for a while. My question to you in this day and time, we understand the penalties and things like that for certain
offenses.
Okay. In this day and time, we speak about how we should deal with things internally. A lot of communities are standoffish when it comes to letting the system allow us to judge us for offenses that are within the community. Personally, I feel, you might see it differently, but I feel that we're not always equipped to handle certain things, certain offenses that would happen amongst the community. Do you believe, or do you feel that there should be instances, and like, other than like murder, of course, that's a no-brainer. You're gonna call a cop. But in certain offenses that happen amongst the community, that we should allow people from the outside to take those situations and handle them, and that's in their system. Because I don't feel that we may have the ability to execute the law in its entirety, or we're not equipped with the whatever it may be to handle that type of situation. I just want to know what your opinion is on allowing them to take over certain situations amongst the Israelite community.
It's a no-brainer for me. If, for instance, if we have a law that says that the crime is the penalty of death, and I know that if I put them to death, I'm going to jail, or I'm going to be put to death, then I'll let somebody else do it. Okay? That way the execution of the penalty gets meted out, and I don't have to have anything to do with it. This is the thing. We're in captivity. We have the opportunity to do the right thing in spite of the fact that we're in captivity. And yet we do it to each other. Okay, and we do it to each other because we think we can do it with impunity. In other words, we can get away with it. We don't have to have accountability. And I don't think that's helping our nation. So if somebody's out there doing something that requires some type of, and all I can give him is 40 strikes, and I know doggone well he deserves or she deserves more, then lock him up. That's my opinion. I hope I answered your question. Avishada, you still have one? Okay. Before I go any further, I just want to welcome a couple of people I did not acknowledge. Yvette Seema from Atlanta. I want to acknowledge her. Apologize, I didn't do it sooner. We go way back. And of course, I'm glad to see next to her, what's her name? Yvette Teshua. She's going through some health issues, but Toraya, she's here with us, and we're very happy to see her. You know, this is not about death, but I'm just reminding us all that our health and our mortality is always in front of us. And we have to live our lives to the fullest, but we have to take care of ourselves, but we also have to just remember that we are flesh. And so I don't want to pass up an opportunity to acknowledge someone or to thank the Creator for our lives and things of that nature, just so that we keep it on our minds, because if we don't do that, then when things happen, we're not prepared. And we have to always be prepared. We have to always be prepared for the worst. Hope for the best, but we have to always be prepared for the worst. Why do I say that? Because if we're not, and then when things happen, we can't function, we can't handle it, we can't, move appropriately, and we make bad decisions when we do that. And sometimes it's spur-of-the-moment decisions. So I just want to throw that out there. Now I'm going to continue on with this. I'm not going to go too much long because I do not want to interfere with Cohen's plans. Lisa, are you finished? You don't have a thing? I see your hand. I'll take you in a second. Do you have a new question?
Yes. Just a quick question. Shabbat Shalom. I just had a question about this morning's portion. He was talking about the interest of, business interests and how we deal with each other. Just want to know, how do we implement the interest? Like, what kind of business? Like, where's the line cut from? When we charge interest, when we don't charge interest. Just want to hear a little bit more about it, basically.
Cohane, you want me to answer that, or you want to answer it?
You can if you want to, or you can let me.
I'll answer it.
I heard you answer before you gave it.
Well, thank you very much. Maybe you did. You trying to stop me from answering the question because you already heard it? Maybe you didn't need to come out today, right? Because you know what. We taught you well. Okay. The interest law, a lot of people get that confused because they think that you can't charge interest. So what the brother was saying, and he spoke rightfully, is that if it's a poor person, if a poor person comes and wants to borrow from you, and they're needy, you're needy. In this particular portion that we saw, it's not the entire law that was given earlier. Okay, so this is a summation of something that was taught earlier. So what they're saying is if the person is poor and they're needy and they need money, you can't charge them interest because they're already in debt or whatever their problem is. So you can't make them more worse off than they were by coming to you for help. But if I have some money to spare and you want to start a business, if you want to borrow my money, it could do me better in my pocket or I may have to take it out of my bank account, which means I'm losing interest on my money. And then you're going to take my money and make money off of it, and then you don't pay me interest. That's not fair. So we would work out, and it's not like I can say, well, you got to pay me double because that's usury. You can't overcharge, so it has to be the going rate or less than the going rate. And so if the going rate is 5%, then if I loan you $100, you got to pay me $105 for that. Okay, and that's all, and you're still getting a bargain because you got money that you're gonna make more than 5% off of it when you invest it. Or at least you're gonna have to figure that out before you borrow from me, because it wouldn't make sense to do it if you're gonna come out making less, worse off than you were for borrowing the money. Okay, did that answer your question? Okay, anyone else not understand that? Okay, and I'm gonna end out very soon. Okay, go ahead.
This question is regarding chapter 25, the immodest woman, the woman who put forth her hand when two men are fighting to grab him by his secrets. Knowing that we are
secret now.
Knowing that we are a merciful, understanding people and people who deal with common sense, could it be a case that her hand is actually cut off if she touches him there or grabs him there to the point that he can't procreate anymore, that it was harm to him, not just to get his attention per se, so he can back off her husband to kind of calm down the fight, because when we're dealing with eye for eye, tooth for tooth, and dealing things in a just measure, if there's no harm to that man, even though she did something that she had no right doing, I think that should be widely expressed that these are things that a woman should not do. But when we go to the extreme and cut her hand off, if there's no harm to that man with the act that she committed.
Okay, good question. We talked about this last week when we had our question and answer period. Basically, what I was saying was that what we have in the book is the ultimate benefit that you can give to someone. So, you know, when you start messing with the family jewels, you know, people get really uptight about that. Okay, so, you know, you have to, it's a deterrent. It's a deterrent that if people know the consequences, they'll stay out of a man's fight. You know, especially if you're using it as a ploy because your husband is losing. Let's say you just in there trying to, you know, let's say you go in there and you just trying to grab your husband, you grab him by the shoulder, you grab him by the arm, you don't grab the other guy by the secrets. Okay, so there's malice in that conduct. You know, you're trying to make sure that, you know, you disable somebody so that your husband could be the victor. Okay, so that's a problem. So I'm answering the question. So what I'm saying is that penalty doesn't have to be executed in every case. And if the guy's not hurt, he might not like it. But, you know, she might get a backhand slap if she's not careful, because she has gotten involved in something that she should not get in, and he can't hit her. You know what I'm saying? And because she's in the fight, but he doesn't want to hit her. So the best thing you can do is let your husband take a good butt whipping, and then he can get over himself. You know, because again, if the fight goes too far and the other guy hurts him, he's gonna now have to pay his medical bills. So these are all those different laws that can come into effect here. And so, you know, the whole idea is for us to learn how to deal with our issues in peace. You know? And so it's all that, it's all there for a reason. And wise people will know how to sort all that out. The sister might end up getting some type of punishment. She might even get some stripes. You know what I'm saying? Have another sister come in there, elders go in there, give her a couple of stripes and learn her lesson. But at least she won't lose her hand.
Right, absolutely.
But, you know, if she does him serious damage, then, you know, she might have to lose that hand. If he wants to have that judgment executed. You understand what I'm saying? But all of that's going to come through the course of a whole lot of things. It's not going to happen that day. They're going to see if his stuff still work. Okay? Those are different things that they're going to have to do.
That's on our robot. Great answer.
I'm trying to keep it good. I mean, am I not, you know. Kirby wanted to make a point, and I'm going to let it end with him.
Okay, Shabbat Shalom. I know that you're in charge of the camp, and you do a very good job. And what I wanted to know is that if somebody tried to approach the camp from outside, and people in here hear gunshots, what would you want us to do? How would you
Hit
want
the
us to
floor.
do?
That's a good question.
Right, hit the floor because we have so much concrete here. Hit the floor and listen to the instructions.
Okay, all right, so that's good to know.
Right, Tzadok for asking the question.
Not a problem.
That could be a major problem if people don't listen for instruction. And of course, somebody their life. If you say shooting is going on outside or whatever and it's danger is near, hit the floor. Because in most cases, they're not going to shoot down. They're going to be shooting straight or up. Depends on where the gun is going, but I mean, and then we just have to pray the Creator protects us. We hope that never happens. We've been taking precautions in order to try to keep us all safe because in my mind, it's happening too often. And nobody's immune. And as long as you're not immune, you have to be vigilant about protecting the family, and that's what we've been trying to do. And so, and then it's all in the hand of Yah, and we pray that we haven't done anything where He will remove His mercies from us. So that's what we hope for. Okay. All right, family. Elishaba, you're late.
I just want to make a history comment based on stuff you said. Mainly for the young people in here. I know we all take so much for granted, and to think that we have this law that goes back thousands of years that you can look at, you can't take it for granted because many of you been hearing bits of that there's a long portion of history for African Americans that we don't know nothing about. Right. And I just wanted to give you an example. You're hearing all about Moses and Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob thousands of years ago. Well, I went back 100 years ago. I was doing some genealogy research, and I got to the year 1870, the census. There's a 10-year census. And everybody before the census was in slavery, which ended, as you know, in what, 1865, so-called. So I'm looking for people, and I finally find what I think is the plantation our great-great-great-grandfather was on. And I get to the census, he had almost 400 slaves, a male 13, a male 23, a male 18. Imagine I see 400 people, and I know some of them is our family, but because they listed us, I'll never, or my research would, who knows if I'll ever find them. Most likely I won't, unless I can find a will, a white person's will that says Eunice or George or Alex. So my point again, and I'm going to go, you have 5,000 years of history, but you can't go back a year, 100 years or 150 years and find one of your great-great-great-grandparents. Something to think about. It was very hurtful for me on a personal level because I'm like, how am I going to find her? Male, female, 38, 59, 71. Just numbers. All you were was a number, an age. 3 months. I don't even know who's related. It's something to think about, kids. Don't take the history that you sitting here and here and year after year for granted. Because I couldn't go back 100 years. Think about it. And thankful for the Most High for what He's given us.
Hallelujah. Wisdom of the elders. Again, thank you, Elishaba. Family, thank you all. It's my honor to stand before you, speak with you, to help teach you, to learn from you, and to be a part of this wonderful community. Torah Rabah, for your time and attention. Most I bless you all. Shabbat
Please be seated. Yah again for all that He does. I want to ask that those that left out, please come back, especially if you have children. I also want to take an opportunity to welcome Shoshana and new baby. Welcome back. Great to see you. Congratulations on the new edition. All right. Can we switch gears for a minute and talk about some things that are a little serious, a little bit more serious? All praise to the Most High, the Creator of all things. Without Him, there is no us. Before we get started, I'd like to journey into Tzadoq just for a few minutes. Let's start in Jeremiah, the 8th chapter, the 22nd verse. Now I'm going to ask that hear me out who's not created. I'm going to get another volunteer. Let's start with Octavi. If he can stand up and read, you can put it on the screen already. Jeremiah, the 8th chapter, and the 22nd verse.
Jeremiah 27?
I'm not here to teach you today.
27. Okay.
I'm really here to have a conversation with you. There's some things that I've been through in my life that I think that Yah's blessed me, and I'm talking about me personally, that I can understand and know that we have to reverse the curse. Because we've been sitting in the curse for so long that sometimes we don't know how to reverse that. But right in the book, the Creator gave us those keys. You ever tried to go into a room that you have locked and you're using the wrong key? It might fit, but it doesn't unlock the door. Right? And you be standing at the door, unless you got them color coded, you fumbling through all those keys to get that door open. Jeremiah 8:22.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Is there no balm in Gilead?
What is balm? What is balm? Not that kind. Talking about B-A-L-M. It's what? It's what?
A healing ointment.
A healing ointment. Now I need you to follow me. How many people ever heard of Tiger Balm? Tiger Balm is powerful, right? Because your muscles start to hurt or they ache, and you can go right to Tiger Balm, right? So the Creator is asking the question, is no balm in Gilead? In other words, is there no healing in Gilead? Go ahead, it says.
Is there no physician there?
Is there no physician in the house of Israel? Nobody to help you make you feel better? No. He said no. Go ahead.
Why then is not the health of the daughter of my people recovered?
Consider that. Read it one more time. Just that one line.
Why then is not the health of the daughter of my people recovered?
If Jehovah is the balm, or has the balm, or has the recipe to heal, why are we not looking to Yah to be healed? Why are we still in this bad situation that we in? There's a reason for that. So really what I want to buckle down and do, starting right here in Charlotte, because in the next few months, Yah bless me to live, I'm going to be moving around the nation. I'm going to be moving around the nation because we're in so much pain. We're in a lot of pain. And we need balm, not the banana and the strawberry and the whatever else you use. We need some healing. Yes. We need some strong, mighty, powerful healing. And I want you to understand something. The spiritual leaders, unless they're qualified, don't always bring healing. There need to be some people who have that education, that have that form of information. Who's a therapist in here? Please raise your hand. You are needed in the nation. That's only one out of the hundreds of communities that we have across the planet. Exodus, the 15th chapter, and the 26th verse. I want to ask Todiah to read that. Exodus, the 15th chapter, and the 26th verse. We might need to start a little before that. Well, I think we're okay. Let's do 26.
And he said, if thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of Jehovah thy power.
If you would what?
Diligently hearken to the voice of Jehovah thy power.
What does diligently mean, Todai?
It means to keep it going, to continue.
Anybody else have a definition for diligent? Steadfast. What else?
Seriously. Carefully.
Who?
Carefully.
Carefully. Okay. So he says, and he said, he is who?
Yeah.
Yah said, if thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of Yah, Yahuwah, go ahead.
Thy power, and will do that which is right in his eyes,
Uh-huh.
and will give ear to his commandments,
And keep all his statutes.
I will put none of these diseases upon thee, which I have put upon the Egyptians.
Is mental illness, is mental disorder and disease.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's a dis-ease. It's a disease. It's a sickness. Yehovah told us about sicknesses and illnesses that they have to be eradicated from the community. And so, in order for us to be able to get Yah's assistance and not get diseases on all levels, mental, spiritual, physical, that we have, there's a requirement. What's that requirement?
Walking diligently.
You got to diligently walk for Yah.
That's right.
That's the important thing. Now, when you get off that key, you ever sing in the key D? D is a certain note. You can never sing A and somebody say, oh, that's the D. No, A and D are two different keys. So it's important to follow the ways of Yah so that none of this stuff happens. Now, there are things that Yah will allow to happen to see what you're going to do. What you and I are going to do. What kind of decisions are we going to make? He said, we're either going to follow Yah or we're not going to follow Yah. Right? Psalms 103. Told everybody.
Calling you on fire right now.
My niece, Alicia. This is my oldest sister's daughter, Irela. If you know Irela, she looks just like me. So Psalms 103 verses 1 through 5.
Yes, get everybody involved.
Psalm of David. Bless the Most High, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name.
Well, let's read that one more time. Because Quanisha, she was hurt earlier. And I know she gets it, but sometimes we need to hear these words. Let's read it again. Bless Jehovah, oh my soul, and everything that's I got inside of me. Bless his what?
Bless his holy name.
Go ahead.
Bless the Most High, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits.
What's a benefit? A what? A good, whoa, scientist Aharon. Good outcome. Anybody else got a different answer? When you go for a job interview, do you look for a benefits package or you just looking for pay? You want the benefit package, which includes what? Health insurance, 401k, all of the additions. So this is what they're saying. This is what the psalmist is saying. And forget not all of Yah's benefits. Jehovah says, he says, I own the heavens and the earth and everything in it. All right, so now it says in the third verse.
Who forgaveth all thy iniquities?
How many people feel like they've been forgiven for their iniquities? Because there's nobody on this planet that sinneth not, right? We all we want to have that past, not so much a past, but we want Yah to look at us in a different light. Continue.
Who healeth all thy diseases?
Who healeth all thy diseases? You know that if you got the wrong thinking, that's a disease. If you thinking wrong, it's a disease. And so we want Yah to remove it. Anybody ever been sick?
Yes, sir.
Really sick?
Yes.
You ever had the bubble gut? You know when your stomach is going blue, blue, blue. You ever had to have an operation? Abba Kirby toughed it out, came out to the camp today. He says next week, y'all willing, he'll have this surgery. But he says, I'm in pain. I'm in pain. So he's looking to Yah, who healeth all disease.
Amen.
Who healeth all kinds of pain. You ever have pain so bad that you can't sleep at night? Or you can't go nowhere, you can't move? That's when you call on the power of all powers, and you also look to the Rophe to help heal you. Continue.
Who redeemeth thy life from the pit?
How many of us was going into the pit and Jehovah redeemed your life? It was dark, wasn't it? Before you get to the pit, it's dark. It feels like almost like a cloud is sitting over your head, and everywhere you go, it's right there with you. Go ahead.
Who encompassed thee with loving kindness and tender mercy?
How many of us feel like Jehovah was around us with loving kindness and favor? Better believe it, man. You still here on this planet. Verse 5.
Who satisfied thine old age with good things?
Man, you see the red semen back there? This lady is 70 years of age. A little over 70. And you can tell the blessings of Yah Yahuwah are on her. That she could say, I not only brought my granddaughter and my grandson, but I brought my great-grand. That's a powerful, family is a powerful thing. It's a powerful thing. So guess what? The elders have hope. They have wishes that Jehovah will get them to see a whole nother stage and age in their life. And then it says, so that thy youth is renewed like the eagle. Yeah, Imam Muzar was walking around here, hobbling, and over time she got that, you like walk back. And you see around here trying to rob the children of their cookies and candy. Yah is great. And so, if that's the kind of power we have, then we should be able to deal with any and everything that comes our way. Correct?
That's true. Yes.
Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter. We're going to go to one more place and then we're going to get into our exercise. We read this all the time at funerals, but I think it's important to know beyond death, the power that we have and how we deal with everything. And so Greek, Ecclesiastes 3rd chapter, verses 1 through 8.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
To everything there's a season and a time for every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die.
So we just have a new baby in here, but we lost Chief of Chiefs. Right? You come in the earth and you're going to go out of the earth.
A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted.
So if you just planted corn and you never plucked it up, you wouldn't eat. There's a process and there's a time. Go ahead.
Time to kill and a time to heal.
A time to kill is a time to deal with a situation and a time to move over and deal with another situation. What do I mean by that? I think we're all aware of what's going on in the nation.
Right.
We all should be aware of what's going on in the nation. I think it would do us more damage if we said guilty or innocent, and then we went back to the regularly scheduled program. We have to educate. We have to communicate. We have to do everything in our power to bring healing. Jehovah, there's a song that says, establish thou the works of our hands, yea, the works of our hands establish thou it. Jehovah said there's 6 days in the week that you should work so that you can be successful and prosperous, right? And so in order for us to get the healing that we need, we have to put forth that effort to gain that thing that we desire most, and that is to be healing, to be a healed person. Why do I say that? I don't think a person can really functionally do the Torah to the highest level with a sick mind. Because you're always thinking in a negative way. And so there's a time to kill, and then there's a time to heal. We're going to deal with this matter, and that's what we got to do. I'm so glad there's so many people say, if we can't deal with the situation within our communities, then we have to deal with what's here in Babylon. Some people teach, don't go to Babylon. Well, guess what? If you did a crime against me or my family, and I know I'm not going to do it the right way, here, Mr. Police Officer, here you go. You cannot eradicate this stuff by letting people off the hook.
That's right.
You let people off the hook, it becomes a poison to the community, and what happens is these little babies, I watched as we praise y'all. You've had Tikwa come with a little top, you see them looking so happy and beautiful, and then all the rest of them came. They are innocent. Their minds and their souls are innocent, and it takes an infiltrator to mess up their minds. What happens after that? Now they become an infiltrator. And then it goes generation, 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 generation. Then we 400 years later, and we still talking about this? We got to deal with this. And we don't deal with this just based off of judgment. We have to deal with this from a perspective of, my family was hurt and injured. You can never, they say a man is better, a man who has been injured, you can conquer a city faster than you can regain his trust again. You never know what it is until somebody in your family has been injured. That pain runs deep.
Very deep.
It runs deep. Don't ever discount when somebody comes and tells you, I've been injured. As a community, according to the laws of Yah, we have to investigate, right? We're supposed to do due diligence. We're supposed to do that. But I'm going to tell you something. I will not stand for someone who commits an act that hurts and injures. I'll stand for the victims all day long. You know why? Because these victims are going, you know how many, my children, I had to go speak to my daughter and my grandchildren. Because sometimes children, they just don't know. They're innocent, they have an innocent mind. They so happy, go lucky, oh, hold my hand. You don't even know whose hand you holding. And it's taboo in our community, in the black community, just certain things. We not going to talk about Uncle Joe. Just don't go in the room with him. The sleek eye, we need to all know Uncle Joe shouldn't even be coming around. I think it's so important. I've got 10 children, 3 grandchildren, but I have a whole host of other children that I love and I care about. And I think it's important that we deal with the issues as a family. We talk about it. So we're going to break off into 4 groups. We're going to break off into 4 groups. We're going to try to keep the families small. But we're not just going to talk about pedophilia. We're going to talk about some other stuff. We're going to talk about drugs. How many people in here have been pushed to smoking cigarettes? Or vaping. Because I just saw a 17-year-old pretty much lose his life because of vaping. So vaping is one of the most, it's way more powerful than nicotine. So now they have to go back and revise the vaping laws. So we're going to start from the adults back. You want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll separate the children and bring them in that way. So we'll start on the sisterhood side with Ima Muzara, and work our way through that way. So you'll be 1, Ima. 2, 4, Ima Rishon, you're 1. Sergeant. Yeah, she's 4. Ima Rishon, you're 1. Sergeant. The rest, Sima. You're number 1. You're 2. Shoshana. You're 3. All right, great. Abba Kirby, we want to start with you. 1. 2. You're 2. Dawid, you're 3. Tael, you're 4. Kanadiel, you're 1. Nahum, wow. Nahum, you're 3. And Bree, you're 4. Yirmiyahu, you'll be 1. I want to include the 3 of you, 2, 3, and 4. All right? So 1 and 2 are staying here, 3 are going to the classroom on the other side of the kitchen, and 4, do they have that classroom set up outside? All right, so we have 4 classrooms. So 1 and 2, 1 will be in there, over there, 2 will be over here, 3 will be in the classroom on the other side of the kitchen, and 4 is outside. I need the children to stay because I'm going to separate you in a whole other way. So I don't know. Quietly, go back to shop. All right, here we go. Zakia, we're going to start with you.
Pedophilia and social media. And I will clarify anything after the children speak.
Shabbat Shalom. Our conversation was on pedophilia and social media. For pedophilia, we talked about how children have a plan for when they're being kidnapped or being pedophiled by another adult or a child. It could be either of that. The definition of pedophilia is when an adult, a trusted adult or a stranger will come and have sexuality with you and touching you in any kind of inappropriate way. Whenever somebody would come and kidnap you or try to take you and touch you in an inappropriate way, you would scream for help and fight. That's what happened on the news a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, so Cohane came in and did sort of a demonstration and grabbed one of the children to see what they would do. So the teachings that came out of that was to scream, to punch, to fight, to do something and not just be dormant and let this person carry you away. So whatever you need to do, we talked about using a key, if you had that, to stab, poke with your fingers, kick with your feet. If he tries to cover your mouth, bite his fingers, he will probably scream louder than you. A neighbor will possibly hear you. So don't just tense up and get scared, but to scream and to try to get away as best as possible. We talked about using other things that you might have on you. Cohen suggested if you're on your phone, this is a good way for somebody to know because they're going to hear you and they can alert someone that there's something going on with you. Put your hand down. We talked about safety, watching where you are and your surroundings, where you're going. If you think someone is following you, to be aware of that. Don't go straight to your house if you know someone is not there. Go to the neighbor's house where you think someone or know someone is home. I told them of an issue that I had. A gentleman asked me to sit in his car and push his brake light so that he could see if it was working. That's a no. I mean, but people will ask you to do things. Don't be afraid to say no and go. You have a right to your personal space. You know, if somebody's all up on you, move back, ask them, tell them why you're moving. It's not disrespectful. You're protecting yourself. But to be aware. You know, I was taught walking in the parking lot, don't walk near the cars. Someone can pop open a trunk. So you want to walk in the middle. Let the cars stop. Let you get to where you're going. So, but to be aware of your surroundings.
Okay. Social media, we were being taught to be aware of what you're on and ensure that the people that you're talking to, that you know who you're talking to. And if they're like cyberbullying you, make sure you tell someone and that you would tell a trusted adult too. And make sure that they deal with it.
Okay, I want to throw something in real quick. How many Yellow Dean, from the ages of a young teenager all the way up to 18, 19, ever heard of Backpage? Anybody know what Backpage is? Backpage is where pimps look for women. They don't go on the streets now, and they also solicit the woman's services there. And so that's another site, social site that people, think it's Instagram and all that. No, that's where prostitution happens. That's the new age that they're in. So be mindful and be careful. So when you're talking social media, it's a lot to it. It's not just Facebook or Instagram. There's a lot of things that are out there that are geared to trap a lot of you that don't know any better. Chocolate them.
So what we learned about social media and
Go ahead.
We hear you.
It's over the P, right? Pedophilia. Social media is like when you go there and people can comment, and sometimes people will post lots of pictures, and you don't do that because they can, like, there's people that control social media and they can look on your page. And pedophilia is like when you're coming to somebody, you grab them, and like you have to fight back, like Aharon said.
I want to show you something I did. If you didn't see it earlier, you'll see it.
Grab him.
A young lady's going home from school. She's at the door with her key put in the door, and a guy comes around the corner. Now, what I want him to understand and the children to understand is this may be the last time you see your parents or your siblings or anyone you love, your grandmother, your grandfather. So him standing like this, is this right? What should he be doing?
Put that head, put his hand right in your chest.
Not with the white shoes. Not with the white shoes. That's the important thing. Trust me, in this day and time, we have to educate. We have to educate. We tell our children, don't bite each other. But in this case, bite. Fight. Pull. Grab some secrets. Do what you gotta do. And you know what happened? The dude couldn't beat her. He ran off. But her family heard her cries in the house. They came out, chased him down the street, caught him. Told Ayah, caught him. So when you think about all the people that's on this planet, 7 billion people, everybody's not well. Everybody's not well. And nowadays, they selling your organs for money. They selling your body for sex. Everything is about money. And so it's education. All of these guys should be fighting, biting, kicking, anything. Because they're not just going for the girls, they're going for the boys too.
That's right. Okay, well, just so that y'all know that when we talked about social media, we talked about the pros and the cons of social media. We also talked about when you posting all of this stuff and some of you are older and getting ready to look for jobs, your employer is now looking at your social media pages. And he's taking all of this into account before hiring you. So it's okay, we share, good feelings like, do good or inspirational type stuff, but don't be going around and putting your dirty laundry, your family business out there for people to know they're on vacation now, the house is empty. You don't want to do that. It's okay to speak well, but you don't want to talk about, oh, I'm mad at Sister Susie, or I'm mad at Cousin Naima, and we don't do that. Right. You come and you talk to that person and you handle that with inside yourself. You don't go posting family business out there that's like that, that's negative. So.
Hallelujah.
We're going to have one more group because we're out of time. Came out to be
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Once again, Yellow Dean.
Watch what you do on social media.
Yes.
Don't go on websites you're not supposed to be going on. Watch what you go on. Watch what you discuss. Friends, do the right thing. If not, your phone is going to get taken away. And you're going to be without a phone for a very long time. Do the right thing. It's not worth it.
That's right. Okay. What other group would like to? Well, I'll pull another group. So we have.
Group 1.
Group 2. Hear me out. Let's see.
Shabbat Shalom. Our group, we spoke about drugs and addiction. The most popular drug that a lot of people use is marijuana. We want to be straight. I mean, our message to everyone in our group, and our message to everybody today is to completely stay away from the drugs. It's going to cause more harm and more problems than it will help you in any type of way. We spoke about the social media, very important. You may see people on social media smoking blunts and doing things of that nature. These are things that you should not do, because again, they will see that and they'll have the ability to judge your character based on some of those things that you're doing. We also know with marijuana, it's illegal in the state. If you go out to try to get a job, in some cases they may give you a urinalysis test or a P-test. And if it comes back negative because they see or detect drugs in your system, that's going to stop you from getting the job. Come back positive, total. Also, we kind of spoke about other drugs like painkillers. It was a big issue with the whole opioid thing. And made some excellent points as far as if you're addicted to these things, then you really need to try to figure out a way to wean yourself off of it, because it should not be to the point that you need to have these things. That's how you can identify that it's a problem. And we went even deeper, dealing with addiction, that it can be like some people may need soda every day, or some people are addicted to video games, or some people may be addicted to cigarettes. You know, these are the things that we want to make sure that we eliminate out of our lives.
Okay, so you touched on SF. What other drugs are there that's prevalent in the teenage world right now?
She spoke about mushrooms.
Molly, Xannies.
And what else? Xanax. What else? Who? Whoa, acid is on the way back? Wow. I want to show you something. Who?
Please drink like this.
Liquid codeine. Shot, water, please. I just want us to be aware that SF is not the only drug.
That's right.
I worked in the restaurant industry for 25 years. The biggest drug that they're on, hydrocodone. You would be surprised what they pay for that kind of stuff. And you say, okay, well, I need it for get rid of this cold or whatever. They be popping them bad boys and losing their minds. And so again, it's important for us to understand that there's stuff out there on the market. One of my friends, close friends, was smoking SF with somebody, did not know he laced it with angel dust. He had a heart attack, and he's having heart problems to this day. Khabib is, I think, 51 years of age. And so anything can happen. And so listen to what your parents are telling you. It sounds like, I'm going to have fun. We're going to go to this party. We're going to do blah, 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 blah. You can't handle that. That shouldn't even be in your system. Okay?
Shabbat Shalom. I just want to add something to that, separate from the drug part of it, is to be very careful. This shouldn't even be an issue with teenagers, but y'all are seeing all kinds of stuff happening right now. Be very careful with drinks.
Right.
Because people will put stuff in your drink. They're not just putting stuff in the drugs, they're putting stuff in your drinks.
That's right.
So even as an adult, I never let anybody buy me a drink unless I'm sitting right there watching the bartender make it, and I drink it straight from the bartender. I don't walk around, let the person walk away and bring the drink back to me. You know, do not give them an opportunity to put something in your drink that you can't see. So always make sure that you are watching what you are drinking as well. It's not just the drink.
Right, so that.
But yeah, but I mean, we just really want to bring forth the message, just so we're all aware of the issues that can come out of some of these things. And if it gets to the point that you cannot fight, or you can't get to the point that you have to have these drugs, we spoke how important it is to get the professional help that you need as well. We had a gentleman in our group who went to a funeral of a 17-year-old, and he mentioned that his daughter was there to really try to help her and try to help her get off the drugs, but she didn't get to that point, and she ended up passing away. But that's when Imam Mazar mentioned that sometimes it's beyond the help that we can give, and you may need professional help as well.
Yeah, you get it, but I think I just wanted to point out that we talk about most drugs come and people are using it for medicinal purposes, some kind of ailment that's giving them some relief, usually from pain or something. Also depression. Recreational, oh, you just want to hang out and be cool. And then the other one is you have some real addiction issue. You're dealing with some depression or something. So it's important to know if you're going to be using it or trying it, what is this doing for you, you know? And is it taking over your life? Oh, I did this today, I know whatever. You have to be very mindful of when you're using it, how you're using it, so that if you have some other real issues going on, you don't get dependent on that to take over your life. And that's what we said about anything. Anything you gotta do every day, all day, is a problem. It's an addiction.
Yeah, that's really.
Churchill on the phone. I got a question about the first group. I know they spoke of pedophilia. I wonder, did they discuss what the young ones should do if they find someone touching them inappropriate or anything like that? Because I know from young, growing up with a lot of brothers, we get loud, we say don't touch me, we tell an adult. So things like that, I want to know if they discussed if they found someone touching them or doing something inappropriate.
In our group, we had our adjustments. We talked about how we, like, if somebody's touching you inappropriately, and it's not so easy to tell somebody, like, get somebody that you can always trust, because it might not be so easy to just tell your parents. So get somebody, like, in this community or outside that you can, like, really trust and, like, feel that you can talk to about something like that, so they can take it into, like, bigger matters.
Right.
And adjust it appropriately.
We're on your side.
Definitely.
We're on your side.
Definitely.
We have to do the investigation. And prayerfully, you're not telling the story. But our job is to protect you. That's what my job is, to protect you. And so by any means, get that information to an adult.
Right.
You know, I know sometimes you can say it's hard to tell your parents, but I'm going to tell you something. As a parent, I got 10 of them. I'm going to protect all 10 of mine. Right. And so I would want to know. And I know sometimes parent and children ecology is not always great, but there's got to be a DODA, an EMA, or somebody that you communicate with that can bring this thing to light, because we got to do that. Okay, EMA.
And it may be a scary situation for you. Not saying that it's not. It could be a scary situation for you. But the fact of the matter is, an adult would help you better than you going and, you know, you said going outside and telling someone that you trust. And if it's somebody that's the same age that you are, that's not going to help you. That's not going to help you. you have to go to an adult. As scary as it may seem, you have to go to an adult because the adult is going to carry it to the parent so that they can get to the bottom of it.
Right. Last but not least, I'm going to let Netanyahu go about the shot, and then we're going to conclude. But this is not the last time we're going to have this discussion.
Shabbat Shalom Pa'am. Just to give a touch on a few points that we did for Group 2. We spoke on first letting the Yeladim speak on what it was that has been touching them in their lives, and what was mentioned is a lot of bullying or petty fights that happen in school. So that segued into us talking about self-confidence. And generally you have those people that are the bullies are generally the ones that struggle with that self-confidence. And the best way to cultivate that power to be able to deal with those kind of people is having self-love. Loving yourself in the skin that you're in, and really, you know, really just dwelling in that and not allowing other people and what they throw at you to cause you to feel down about yourself. You know, remember that the bully is the one that really is coming from a place of lack. And that's why they're trying to take away your happiness. So always remembering that. We did also go into the conversation on pedophilia. One thing that I asked the Yeladim was if somebody that is dressed in Israelite attire, has zigzags, but is still, asking you to, take this piece of candy or this cookie or something, and it's somebody you don't trust. Even if they have on the garbs and everything else, if it's not a trusted adult, then you want to be very careful. That's right. I mean, it's very easy if it's somebody out on the street and they in their street clothes, you know, they look suspicious, quote unquote, but even people that, you know, are in cultural garments, you still want to be careful in dealing with those situations. And situational awareness is something we spoke on as well, especially when you brought up that situation with the daughter going to the door, coming into the house, that you want to always make sure you are aware when you are out. A lot of the times we walk around like this with our phone, we're setting ourselves up to be, you know, for prey. So when you are out, you're going into your house, you know, you're going to the bus stop, whatever it is. Even when, you know, for the Yeladim, if you're standing at the bus stop, you know, I did it when I was in school. I had my headphones in, I'm standing at the bus stop, but you still want to make sure you're looking around. Make sure nothing suspicious is going on, nobody's sneaking up on you. Pay attention to if you see the same car, you know, making laps, or the same time of day and you see the same car and it's not one of your neighbors. You know, you want to make sure that you're just always paying attention to your surroundings so you're able to make sure that you're keeping yourself safe.
It's a tough topic, but we have to deal with these kinds of topics. And I think it's not only helpful to the children, but to everyone, because it just keeps us on our toes and helps us to move forward. So we're going to end with prophecy or precept in Jeremiah, the 17th chapter, and verse 14 only. So I'm going to ask everyone to read that once more. Shimawel gets it on the screen. And Tonah Yah for his continued mercy and his compassion, for looking out for us. And may he continually look out for us. And we just got to keep moving forward. So Jeremiah, the 17th chapter and the 14th verse. Great exercise.
Yes, good.
Wonderful to hear your thoughts. Continually, all of you are in my prayers, and I just pray that Yah helps us all. So, Jeremiah, the 17th chapter and the 14th verse reads on this wise. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hear me, O Yah, and I shall be healed. Save me, and I shall be saved. for thou art my praise. Hallelujah. We stand before the Creator, recite the words of the final prayer for the Holy Shabbat day, and we will conclude a wonderful, peaceful Shabbat day. So we recite our prayers that are found on page 11 on this word.
Sacrifices and meal offerings are not found in our hands. Father of mercies, yet thy law standeth firm. Accept the words of our lips and the murmurings of our hearts. Receive our prayers in mercy and in favor. Grant us joy and gladness. Comfort thy people. Jehovah answer thee in the day of trouble. The name of the power of Israel set thee up on high. Draw us not away, Yah, with the wicked, for our delight is in thy word. Let thy word heal us and cause us to prosper. Cause thy wisdom to blanket Israel. Let the visions of the righteous be our lot. Yea, even the dreams of thy redeemed, our good fortune. Draw us with cords of love, and let our borders be true. Into thy hand I commit my spirit. All praises unto thee, O Yah. We have thought of thy loving kindness. We rejoice in the house of Yah. Come behold the works of Yah and rejoice in the same. For he has rescued his people, Israel. He has called forth the dispersed of Yaakov. He causes righteousness to stand where calamity was. For such is our power forever and ever. He will be our God henceforth eternally. Sing his praises aloud. Hallelujah.
Baruch Yehovah, Baruch Baruch Yehovah, Bezoraim. Baruch Yehovah, Be'erev. Baruch Yehovah, Be'layla. Baruch Yehovah, Yom Yom. Baruch Yehovah, Tamid. Yehovah Eloheinu, B'Bakusha. L'shlo lanu lekol devarim ra'im she'asinu lefanecha yom yom. V'liyot imanu kol halayla hazeh lema'an shemcha Yehovah Elohei Abraham, Yitzchak v'Yisrael Elohei Avotenu ve'Eli lishmoa b'kolina im terezeotka lema'an shemcha Yehovah. Yevarecha Yehovah v'yishmarecha
Ken yiratzon.
Ya'ir Yahuwah panawalecha, wichunecha.
Ken yiratzon.
Yisa Yahuwah panawalecha, wiyasim lecha. Shalom.
Ken yiratzon.
Yehovah bless thee and keep thee. Yehovah cause his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yehovah lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yahu Gadol. Yahu Gadol. Yahu Gadol. Rabbi Shah, please be seated. Just for a few moments as we break forth any announcements at this time.